Oh no, my piece is wanting to fold. Hey guys, I'm Jayce. Welcome back to Farmstead Forge and welcome back to part 2 of forging hardware for our post vise. If you haven't seen the first video on forging the spring and the jaw protectors, check that out so you can get caught up. I'm really excited to do this video today because we are going to be forge welding the bolt-on part of the bracket. I'm going to refer to it as the tail piece. That's not the right name, that's just what I'm calling it. So, today, here, you just take these and go. Today I'm going to explain a few things that really set me up for success with forge welding. And funny enough, I'm going to be using some cheap gas station donuts to explain an extremely important part that's really helped me to have a successful forge weld. We'll get to that in a minute. This was just my practice piece. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw some pictures of that already. I have a piece of 3/4 thick, 3 inches wide by 6 inches long. And I'm gonna come in here and forge like a tang on this. I will do this on my power hammer and I won't show a ton of that. I'm gonna get that out there so we can flip it around. I'll show you how we're gonna do our stack weld. I'm not gonna weld that till the very end. And that does 2 things for me. That heats up my anvil and sets me up for success. A successful weld is not pulling all the heat out of my big piece of metal. And it doesn't put my forge weld through a ton of stress. Now, here's the downside. If I have a bad day or an off day and I don't get it to forge weld, I just put all of that work into this piece. But I will show you how I will come back from that if it doesn't forge weld. And if I do, hopefully, get it to forge weld, I will show you how I would have came back from that. I'm also going to kind of forge a dog bone shape into this. And that is going to push some more steel out into my corners. And then I'm going to forge my corners out a little bit. That just gives me a little width. That's a little narrower than the original ones. But I don't really see the issue with that because as long as you're bolted to a good steel surface, your weakest point is going to be right here in the forge weld. So I need to get this guy back up to the house before I run the hammer and we'll get started. I was going to have this a 2-part, but I decided to turn to a 3-part. I know, but I will be able to focus more on the forge welding part, and then the next video we'll forge the band and the wedge and the key. So stay tuned for that. Another trick to start heating your anvil up, throw a hot block of steel on it and just let it sit there just to help set yourself up for success. Now I want to spread each of my bolt holes out from the center out, and then I will come in with the power hammer and take it down to 1/2 inch, which is where I want it. Now I have my drift. I want to give me a slight gap of where my block of steel is going to be to weld. I'm going to mark my first bend. Now I'll heat this up and get a nice little indent in there. I don't want too much. It's just to mark it so it has a nice place to fold. You get too much and you'll create a weak spot. I want this really, really hot for my bend. Alright, I don't want to go any more than that right now. Now here's what we got to do. I have to make a cut right here that is with an angle grinder that is 3/4 of the way through, and then one cut right here that is all the way through, and this is just garbage, excess gone. This little block, keep it 3/4 of the way through and we'll fold it under, and that becomes our block for our forge weld. So once we get that tipped halfway down, you gotta hot rafts all this off so it's clean, no slag whatsoever. We will flux that up a little bit, set it, and then put it in the forge. Now here comes all the important stuff. To weld in a gas forge, for me anyway, this has got to be almost a white hot. And the biggest thing on top of that is, it's kind of a yellowish white. It has to be heated evenly all the way through. Wherever you're going to weld has to be all the exact same color. If it's a little bit off, it's probably not going to weld good. It might not even weld at all. So you have to have that exactly the same heat. How I achieve this is time and just carefully rotating it in the forge every little bit until I've achieved that whole area is exactly the right heat. Then comes our donut part. Even though it's a white hot, the best thing I've found is when you have a moment of weakness and you go to the gas station and get yourself some cheap donuts. Well, it's the one thing you do. You look for the package that's not sweaty. You don't want that sweaty look, right? That's kind of gross. It's getting little beadlets of moisture on there. You can see that little beadlets, and it's just gross. But that's what we want for this. We want to see that sweaty look. When you see that sweaty look, it's time to go tap, tap, and you'll set it. If you always hit it right when you get that sweaty look, right after you're white hot, you probably have a guaranteed to weld. But always, always take your time. Tap, tap. If it changes a tiny bit of color, you get it back in the forge. Brush it off. Get some new flux on there. Don't get in a hurry. I'm using some Iron Mountain flux today. I really love this flux. You can use borax on something like this, but this is just a little bit nicer, I feel like, and just more sets you up for a guarantee. The first time we'll really pour to it, and after that we'll just kind of slowly wean off of it. Do a quick cleanup, and we'll clean up in a minute. Oh no, my piece isn't wanting to fold. Have to do a do-over. Reflux while it's hot. That way. I don't want to pound on it anymore. We're going to flux it back up and get it back in there. White hot to sweaty. Not getting it hard. I'm going to start to blend my corners, my edges. Vise. Remember, time is your friend. A bunch of times in a gas forge doesn't matter. Just don't let it cool off until you think you're a good weld. I'm pretty sure I'm welded. So now I'm going to start just blending my edges. It'll probably take me like 4 times, but I'll be a guaranteed weld. One more little tap tap. I'm gonna blend my edges until my little forge line just disappears. Alright, I think we got a forge weld. Woohoo! Alright, true test. We're going to heat it up again. We're going to drive a drift through it. If it doesn't separate, we're golden. No cracks. We got a weld. Oh, I'm almost perfect. A little narrow, but... Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of forging this tail piece. Whew, my anvil's still really hot. I got all my forge lines pretty well blended, so you can't even really see them, which is what you want. Just remember, white hot, get that sweaty look, tappy tappy, do not let it change color. If it changes color, you're wasting your time, just get it back in there. It's took me probably like 5 heats to weld it, but it's very solid. It's got a nice ring to it, so I know it's good and solid. So, had it not welded, you could V it out really deep with an angle grinder, get it red hot, weld it up with a MIG welder or a stick welder, whatever you have. So I will drill these later. I just punched them down until they bottomed out. And we will build our band in our next video. Go get it. I have something really exciting that showed up in the mail. This guy has been, I've looked up to him for a long time, and I'm very proud to have this sticker on my wall. If you do not know who this guy is, you need to check out the link and we'll put it in the description. But I'm very honored to have this sticker on my wall. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Keep it simple. Finally, huh? They do have one. You have one. Right here.